Hello everyone and welcome back for some more TV and movie gossip, secrets and drama. Smallville was a popular superhero-themed TV show which ran from 2001 to 2011. It focused on the coming-of-age story of Clark Kent, the young man destined to become Superman. For 10 seasons, the show captured the hearts of millions of fans with its mix of superhero action, teen drama, and it became one of the most beloved portrayals of the Superman character. But behind the scenes, Smallville was filled with secrets, scandals, and shocking controversies that a lot of fans don't know about. This involves cast member frustrations, a dangerous sex cult, and even murder. So today we're going to be looking into the untold dramas and scandals to do with the cast of Smallville. All that and more coming up in today's video, so let's get started. Allison Mack as Chloe Sullivan. Allison Mack is an American actress who is best known for her role as Chloe Sullivan on Smallville. Within the show, Chloe is Clark Kent's best friend and is also supposedly the cousin of Clark's love interest Lois Lane. Although Allison, as well as her character, were known for being very sweet and unassuming, what you may not know is that Allison became involved in a major real-life scandal that shocked fans and the wider entertainment industry. Allison's life took a dark turn when she became involved with NXIVM, a self-help organisation that was later exposed as being a dangerous cult. NXIVM was founded by a man named Keith Raniere in the late 1990s. It was initially presented as a personal development group, offering courses to help people achieve their full potential, and its 700 members included many celebrities and high-profile people. However, underneath the surface, NXIVM operated as a coercive and manipulative organisation with a multi-level marketing model, also known as a pyramid scheme. On top of that, the group was later revealed to have a secret subgroup known as DOS, which stood for Dominus Obsequious Sorotorium, which is Latin for Master over Slave Women. This subgroup, DOS, was designed to recruit women and subject them to extreme control, including forced labour, sexual servitude, and branding on their skin. Allison's involvement with NXIVM began in 2006 when she attended one of the group's workshops. She was reportedly drawn to the organisation's promise of personal growth and empowerment. Over time, Allison's role within NXIVM expanded. She became second in command of DOS, a position that granted her significant authority and responsibility. As part of this role, Allison recruited at least 5 women into the group, some of whom were manipulated into becoming, quote, slaves under DOS's control. DOS was structured as a pyramid group with Keith at the top, and he was also the only male member, with all of the other members, including Allison, being his subordinates. Although the group was seemingly built around female empowerment, in reality, it mainly provided a way to traffic women for Keith's gratification. And many of the members were not told when they joined the group that Keith was actually the leader. The women who joined the group were told it was a female-only group meant to support each other, but they were coerced into providing compromising material of themselves, such as nude photographs. They were told that if they ever left or exposed the group, this compromising material of them would be released. The skin branding practices within DOS were also particularly shocking. Women were forced to undergo a painful procedure where hot metal was used to brand a symbol onto their skin. This symbol included Keith Raniere's initials. Victims described the branding as excruciating, and it was done in secret, without anesthesia, and often reluctantly. Many of the women also did not know that the brand was actually Keith's initials, and they only found this out afterwards. The branding was framed as a form of empowerment or initiation, but in reality it was a way to manipulate and psychologically control the group's members. Allison later admitted that the branding ritual was actually her idea. In an interview with New York Times Magazine, Allison took full responsibility for coming up with the idea to brand select female members with Keith's initials. She explained that she wanted to create something more meaningful than a tattoo, something that would signify true commitment and loyalty. The situation escalated when these practices were revealed to the authorities, which prompted a federal investigation. In April 2018, Allison was among those who got arrested, and she was charged with sex trafficking conspiracy, and forced labor conspiracy. She was accused of being a key figure in recruiting women into NXIVM and DOS and participating in the coercive and abusive practices. In April 2019, Allison pleaded guilty to racketeering charges, admitting her role in the criminal activities of NXIVM. In June 2021, Allison was sentenced to 3 years in federal prison for her involvement in the cult. She served her sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Dublin, California. Under the First Step Act, which was a 2018 criminal justice reform law, Allison was released early in July 2023 after serving approximately 21 months of her sentence. Since her release from prison, not much is known about Allison and her life. According to TMZ, in 2023 she got married for a second time to a man named Frank in a small ceremony. Over the years, the other actors from Smallville have reflected and discussed Allison's involvement in NXIVM and talked about their time working with her on Smallville. Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor, hosts a podcast called Inside of You, where he interviews other celebrities, including many of his fellow Smallville co-stars. Michael said Allison was very sweet and professional when he worked with her, but one time she mentioned she was going to one of the NXIVM workshops and they thought it sounded weird and joked that it might be a cult. But he had no idea what the extent of NXIVM was and was shocked about her role in what happened. However, Michael did also tell a story of a weird interaction that he had with Allison years after Smallville ended, where he realized that something was wrong.
She and a friend of hers and this guy said, "Hey, I haven't talked to you forever. We want to stop by." And she walked in. She was a different person. She walked in like she owned my house. She walked in with her friends and they walked into the kitchen. I was like, "Hey," she was like, "Hey, how are you?" And then walked into my kitchen, started bringing out pots and pans and started cooking. I go, "What are you guys doing?" I said, after a while, I just felt uncomfortable. I was like, "Well, hey guys, like that's it. Come on, let's." The guy turned almost violent. I mean, he was violent. I remember I was waiting for Allison to sort of jump in and say, "I'm so sorry. No, he doesn't mean this." There was nothing. It was just like, it was almost like they were zombies. That's how I remember. I'll never forget it.
In another podcast clip, Michael was talking to Laura Vandervoort, who played Supergirl in Smallville. They discussed Allison, and Laura said Allison actually invited her to join NXIVM after Smallville finished, but Laura didn't end up doing it because she couldn't afford it, and she also thought the group sounded odd. She also said she didn't really know Allison that well because they never worked together, so she thought it was really weird that the only time Allison ever reached out to her was to try and get her to join this group. Another thing you may not know about Allison is that back in February 2017, she married Canadian actress Nikki Klein, who is most known for her role as Callie in Battlestar Galactica. The marriage was reportedly a sham, which was arranged by NXIVM leader Keith Raniere to help Nikki get around US immigration laws and remain in the country, because Nikki was also a member of NXIVM. Actress India Oxenberg, who is the daughter of actress Catherine Oxenberg, was also recruited into NXIVM by Allison. India stated that she attended the wedding between Allison and Nikki and confirmed that the ceremony was not genuine, but was a strategy orchestrated by Keith. Allison later filed for divorce from Nikki in December 2020. Both Allison and Nikki were also reported to have been sexual partners of Keith Raniere as well. Nikki has had a long and complicated history from being part of NXIVM and has continued to defend Keith for many years and has even been involved in several lawsuits. Allison, on the other hand, seems to have expressed remorse and regret for her part in NXIVM and has seemingly disowned Keith. So it's not clear what Allison is doing now, but what is clear is that her part in the NXIVM cult has irreparably damaged her life and reputation, and it's unlikely that she'll ever work in the industry again. And this also damaged Allison's reputation among many Smallville fans as well. Johnny Lewis as Gabriel Summer. Johnny Lewis was an American actor who played the role of Gabriel Summer in Smallville. However, he later became known for his role as Kip Half-Sack Epps on the successful action crime drama Sons of Anarchy. Johnny grew up in a family with strong ties to Scientology, and he was introduced to acting at a very young age. He attended a performing arts school founded by his mother, and he pursued his passion for acting throughout his youth and went on to have a successful acting career. Despite his on-screen successes, though, Johnny faced serious challenges in his personal life, particularly with mental health and substance abuse, which led to disastrous and fatal consequences. It started back in October 2011 when Johnny suffered head injuries in a high-speed motorcycle accident. Although medical professionals recommended an MRI, Johnny refused to undergo the procedure. After the accident, he began exhibiting increasingly erratic and unpredictable behaviour. His friends and family became concerned, but Johnny refused to have any psychiatric treatment. His lawyer later said that he also thinks that Johnny may have been using marijuana or other medication. Between January and February of 2012, Johnny was arrested multiple times due to violent and erratic incidents. In one case, he hit 2 men in the head with a bottle during a fight. In another incident, he was arrested for attempting to break into a woman's home and for battery involving a woman named Shirley. He pleaded no contest to these charges and was placed on probation, with officials noting his ongoing mental health struggles and potential risk to the community. By August 2012, Johnny was released from detention on provisional outpatient status, but he was still reportedly struggling to regain stability. Johnny moved into a bed and breakfast called the Writers' Villa in Hollywood, which offered temporary accommodation to aspiring actors and writers. This bed and breakfast was well known in Hollywood and was run by an 81-year-old lady named Catherine Davis. Johnny had previously stayed at the B&B back in 2009 and apparently enjoyed his time there, so he was encouraged to go back there for a while in the hopes that it would be a good place for him to get his life back together. However, this then led to a shocking and harrowing event. On the 26th of September 2012, neighbours reported hearing screams and witnessed Johnny behaving violently. A house painter who was painting the house next to the B&B reported that Johnny jumped over the fence, introduced himself to the painter, proceeded to assault him for no reason, then jumped back over the fence. The police were then called to investigate. When the police arrived, they discovered the landlady, Catherine, was dead inside her home, having suffered severe head injuries, and her pet cat was also found dead. It was later ruled that her death was caused by manual strangulation and blunt force trauma to the head. Johnny's body was then found on the driveway, having fallen to his death from the roof. Investigators concluded that Johnny had killed Catherine and her cat before jumping or falling to his death. The autopsy confirmed that he was not under the influence of drugs or alcohol, and his death was ruled an accidental fall after they said that they found no evidence that he was pushed or jumped. The motive behind the brutal murder, though, remains unclear. Johnny's family later spoke out about his untreated head trauma from the motorbike accident, and this led to speculation that he had developed a psychological disorder which caused sudden bursts of erratic and violent behaviour. This shocking incident sent shockwaves through the industry. Kurt Sutter, who was the creator of Sons of Anarchy, tweeted about Johnny's death shortly afterwards, saying, quote, "It was a tragic end for an extremely talented guy who unfortunately had lost his way. I wish I could say I was shocked by the events last night, but I was not. I am deeply sorry that an innocent life had to be thrown into his destructive path. Yes, it's a day of mourning, but it's also a day of awareness and gratitude. Sadly, some of us carry the message by dying." And so, although Johnny may be remembered for his role in Smallville, Sons of Anarchy, and many other shows, it's likely that he will also be remembered for this brutal murder and his own death, seemingly due to his untreated health conditions, and it serves as a warning for the importance of seeking proper medical help. Tom Welling as Clark Kent. Tom Welling played the central character Clark Kent for the entirety of Smallville, which became a breakout role in his career. Tom initially turned down the lead role twice, but after reading the script, he decided to take the job. He was not previously a fan of Superman and never read the comics because he didn't want it to affect his performance, which was set in a different timeline to the previous stories. Tom remained dedicated to the role of Clark Kent until the end, but he faced significant challenges along the way. While appearing on Michael's podcast, Tom revealed that he had conflicting feelings about Smallville because he, quote, wasn't happy most of the time while filming the show. He explained that he felt the weight of responsibility being the lead character on the show. As with many actors, he also experienced a very demanding work schedule, which involved long hours, limited breaks, as well as working on other projects such as Cheaper by the Dozen, which only increased the strain he was under. On the podcast, they revealed that at the beginning of the show, all of the actors had to drive themselves to the set, but the cast were worried about Tom driving himself because he was being worked so hard and he was so tired. They were worried that Tom was going to have an accident and die. So they all came together and made the show get Tom a driver. Tom even revealed that during the filming of the show, he was in a constant state of being annoyed, presumably because of the stress. One time when he was driving to set during season 3, he honked his horn because a car in front had slowed down, but it turned out that there had just been an accident, which is why the car had slowed down, and a police officer was on the scene. The police officer pulled Tom over, reprimanded him for honking his horn, and made him sit there for a moment to calm down, which Tom said on reflection was what he needed. Tom explained that it took him years to feel proud of the work he did on Smallville because at the time he did not feel that way. After Smallville ended, Tom was approached to join other DC Universe projects, including potential spin-offs and movies. However, he declined these opportunities, expressing concern about being forever typecast as Superman. However, Tom has said that he does look back fondly on his time on Smallville and now tends to remember more good things rather than bad things. And there may be some developments about him returning to the role of Clark Kent, which I'll talk about later. Michael Rosenbaum as Lex Luthor. Michael Rosenbaum played the main villain of Lex Luthor in Smallville, a role which gained him a lot of critical acclaim, and he was even featured on the TV Guide's list of nastiest villains of all time. While Michael's acting brought the character of Lex Luthor to life, it seemed that he faced some struggles on Smallville. Michael left the show in season 7, but then he did return as a one-off for the 2-hour series finale. He said the reason he left the show was because, quote, I'm just ready to move on and I'm just ready to take a new step. He also expressed that he was getting tired of the physical challenges of playing the role, such as the long working hours and also shaving his head. In 2023, on his podcast Inside of You, Michael was joined by Elle Goff and Miles Miller, who are the original writers and producers of Smallville. Michael revealed that one of the other big reasons he left the show after season 7 was because Elle and Miles also left the show because they wanted to move on and do other things and felt like they had told all the stories they could. In October 2024, Michael appeared on the podcast The Sackhoff Show, which was created by actress Katie Sackhoff, where she asked him about why he left Smallville. Michael said he hadn't really ever revealed this before, but he was not a big fan of Peter Roth, who was the chairman of the WB network at the time, which was the network Smallville was on. Michael found out that apparently Peter once went into the writer's room and told them to fire Michael, presumably due to a pay negotiation. But the writers said they couldn't fire him because he played the main villain, which was such an important character. When Michael then left the show after season 7, he got invited to go to lunch with Peter, who he had worked for multiple times on other WB shows, but Peter acted like he didn't know him. Peter tried to convince Michael to stay for 3 more seasons until the end of the show and said how important his character Lex Luthor was to the show. Michael said he wanted to pursue comedy and other things, but he told Peter to give him an offer to stay just in case.
You know what the offer was? The same money I was getting.
Are you serious?
On my mother's life. My mother's life.
It was literally the same offer.
The same offer. So whatever I was making when I left, they go, yeah, so sign on for 3 years and you'll get the same thing.
The same thing.
His agent said that they should go back with a counter offer, but Michael said that this was, quote, the last straw, and that's when he decided to leave. However, Michael said he's very thankful for his role on Smallville and said that if he's only remembered as being Lex Luthor for the rest of his life, he's happy with that because it was a great character that he got to play for 7 years. Kristin Kreuk as Lana Lang. Kristin Kreuk played the character of Lana Lang, who is a central figure in Smallville's early seasons, portraying Clark Kent's first love interest. By the end of season 7, Kristin had grown increasingly dissatisfied with the direction of her character. Lana's storyline, which initially promised depth and complexity, began to feel limited and repetitive, leaving Kristin feeling frustrated with the creative decisions being made. For example, on an episode of the Talkville podcast, which is where Michael and Tom review episodes of Smallville, they were talking about the season 5 episode called Thirst, in which Kristin's character became a vampire. Kristin said that by that point she was, quote, angry that she had to do that.
It's the same.
Yeah,
right?
It's the same thing.
I just wear some tight clothes and be, I don't know, vampy. Oh, I think I was angry with this one. I think at this point I got to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. It's so objectifying. There's no point to it except for to, give me excuse to wear like a super tight outfit.
Like many actors on long-running TV shows, Kristin also faced the pressures of fame, public scrutiny, and the mental health challenges that often come with constant media attention. On an episode of Michael's Inside of You podcast, Kristin revealed that she was actually afraid and intimidated by the fame that she got from Smallville, which made her shy away from certain opportunities after the show ended. Wanting to grow as an actress and explore new opportunities beyond Smallville, Kristin made the difficult decision to leave the show after season 7, which marked a turning point for her career as well as the series itself. Because several other people, such as Michael, as well as the 2 original writers, also left the show around the same time. Some critics said that this was when the tone of the show started to shift, and there was often inconsistent writing as well as contradicting storylines, which created stress and uncertainty. However, although Kristin struggled with the fame that came from Smallville, she is still very thankful for the role, and she regularly appears on Michael and Tom's podcast where they reminisce about the show despite the difficulties they all faced. Michael and Tom are also apparently working on an animated continuation series of Smallville, although it's been in development for a long time and has not yet been officially greenlit. On an episode of the podcast, Michael and Tom had Al Goff, who is one of the original Smallville creators. Michael and Tom want him to be involved in the continuation series, and Al gave an update about it by saying, quote, "I think the problem with most projects in development in any studio and or network is regime change. Warner's has obviously gone through a lot, and I think the fact that they are in the process of rebooting Superman again kind of unfortunately, I think, keeps our thing off the table for a bit. Everything comes around in one form or another. I just read the other day that they are rebooting Buffy for Hulu. So there seems to be some doubt about this new potential Smallville continuation series, and we'll have to wait and see if it ever materialises." So there you go, there was a video talking about some of the shocking dramas and scandals to do with the cast of Smallville that you may never have heard about. Which of these dramas shocked you the most? And would you like to see the Smallville animated continuation series? Let me know in the comments. If you'd like to get early access to my videos as well as other benefits, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. It just costs a few dollars a month and it really helps support my channel, and I'll leave a link to that in the description. Please make sure you like and comment on this video to help tell the algorithm this is a great video, and please make sure you subscribe to my channel because it really does make a huge difference. Thanks so much for watching, and I hope to see you again in a future video. Thank you, bye!